Hello, my wonderful friends, and especially my Sarah Boone peeps or anyone. This is gonna, if it ever gets underway, it's gonna be an interesting trial, I think. But it was supposed to, pre-trial was supposed to be July 11th, and it didn't happen. So let's see what's going to happen next.
Judge has just called the case in Florida. Let's go in together now.
So typically I've been trying to set Ms. Boone for a separate date because she wants to be present for any discussions about the status of the case. She's authored another letter to the court, substantially similar to the letters she's authored in the past. So I've just had that directed by Jay to disclose that to you and Mr. Cacciatore. Do we already have a specific status date separate from today set?
Judge, I believe it's set. There's something set at 3 o'clock this afternoon on my calendar, but hopefully we can resolve that now. I guess we need to. I'm having issues with JAC with funding my expert, and the state's provided me with the name of their expert, but I'm sure they can't give an opinion until my expert gives an opinion, and at this point she's not willing to do that until she can take payment from JAC.
I understand.
So,
Mike, here's my number one. I'd be surprised if we docked you for 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Okay, good.
I don't.
Sorry
Mr. Cacciatore, did you have notice that we're doing something at 3 this afternoon?
I did not, Your Honor.
Here's what I'm going to ask you to do on the Boone case. Reach out to my judicial assistant today and schedule a status on her. I want these conversations to take place with Ms. Boone present. Ideally, we'll get it done sometime in the next week. And then I'll address the issue with JAC and where things stand at that point in time.
That's great, Judge. Just to advise the court, I'm starting a first-degree murder case with Judge Weiss on Monday. That's expected to go 4 days.
Okay. Well, I'm fairly certain I'm here on Friday the 21st. So you can decompress from trying your case by coming and talking to me about Ms. Boone's case.
Oh boy, thanks, Judge.
It's a service I offer, Mr. Bankowitz.
Service with a smile, Judge. Service with a smile.
All right, so that court minutes for Boone is just going to reflect that the lawyer's going to coordinate a status conference most likely on Friday the 21st.
Oh, so we've got a postponement on our hands,
Surprise,
my friends,
surprise.
just as I suspected. That's okay, though. We know when it's happening. We know when we're going to see her. We're going to see her on Friday morning, July. I have September in my head because we got word yesterday that that is when the attorneys are looking to set the trial date. So first comes the status conference, July 21st, to see about the definite number of weeks the lawyers are going to need to get everything together, schedule the date for picking the jury, and block off their trial calendars. You heard her defense attorney, number 6, or 6th defense attorney, saying that he's got another homicide case he's starting up on Monday, so this one has to get kicked back till Friday, July 21st. And you heard the judge that Ms. Boone will be present. She's been adamant in her letter she's been writing to the judge that she wants to be there. That is her right. And as you see, His Honor has a sense of humor, and he's going to be accommodating her. Let's bring in our guest to talk a little more about this. He's a law enforcement expert. He is the founder and CEO of Global Security Group. He served for many years in the DEA, retiring at the rank of senior special agent. David Katz with us this morning. Oh, David, I'm not surprised at another postponement because she's changing lawyers like she's changing her clothes. I mean, we've got 6, and this homicide case just began in February of 2020 to have 6 lawyers. So, I get it that everybody isn't quite ready, and it's not the fault of the lawyers. Tell me what you think we're going to be seeing these teams doing in terms of their preparation. information. We heard her counsel saying that he's working on the funding for the experts. He wants to put forth this battered wife defense, as we understand it, trying to convince the jury that Sarah Boone was a victim of domestic violence and her psychological health was damaged, and perhaps this was the result of many instances of beatings at the hands of the homicide victim. What do they need to do to try to be successful on that defense, please, David? Kind of help us pull back the curtain into the team that they might be assembling.
Yeah, that is a fantastic question, because I think her defense hinges on being able to convince a jury that, yes, her actions seem bizarre, they seem callous, they seem calculated. However, and then they bring in an expert who says, this is why she acted in this way. The period of abuse does the following. So I having served as an expert witness many, many times myself, it's kind of incredible that you can take two people who are credentialed, who have very impressive backgrounds, and if you look at their CV, it's like, wow, pick one. But they come to diametrically opposite convictions. I mean, or conclusions. They have a tremendous value helping the jury understand things that are not readily understandable. I mean, most jurors can understand just common occurrences in most cases, but something like this, where the defense is going to be, look, it's the psychology, the damage, the abuse. That's going to be incredibly important for the defense. Now, the prosecution is going to get that report and say, well, now we have our expert who's going to explain why that, Joe Pesci, what that guy just said was, well,
Yeah.
but not accurate.
Love Joe Pesci.
So
I know where you're going. Right, David. My goodness, this is so baffling, and Twitter's exploding right now. We love our courties; they're live tweeting, and I got a tweet a few moments ago saying, "Am I missing something? Like, how did this happen?" And I want to say, no, you're not missing something, because we have so many questions of what happened first to get to the point of him in that suitcase. We know that they were drinking. We know she said it was a game of hide and go seek, and we also know this guy has blunt force trauma to his head and scratches on his neck and his back. We also don't know the size of that suitcase or how big Jorge Torres, or I believe he pronounces it George Torres. It's spelled like Jorge, but I believe he goes by George. How big of a guy he was. So these are things we're hoping to get answers to. Our Court TV team has been researching all of them. Believe me, we're wanting the answers just like you are, my friends. We're going to talk about this some more. Stand by, please, David Katz. We're going to hit a break. When we come back, we're going to take a listen to more of that cell phone video. Remember, she's taunting him when he's in the suitcase. And also what she says on the 911 call when she finally makes it after her ex-husband tells her to. Stand by. This is Court TV Live, your front row seat to justice.
Okay, so there's that. So they're going to have a continuance for July 21st. And as everyone said, Sarah will be present as she is requested. And despite what we think of her, that is her right. But can you imagine all the people she is driving batshit crazy? But it will, when it finally gets underway, it's going to be interesting, because I tell you, all the people I've seen so far don't think she has a very good defense. I mean, I think it's been very difficult for her attorney to get somebody for the battered spouse defense. But it's interesting that the prosecution already has someone. Maybe they are just they expect, the firstborn in payment or something like that. But yeah, I don't know if y'all have heard this, but they were talking about how George did have blunt force trauma to his head. I can go on and play that. Of course, since we're not live and you can't say, yes, I want to hear it. But I do remember that they did say that. And they were wondering about the size. I do know, from what I've seen, that both of them are small. Sarah is very, very small. And George has had a very thin stature. But one thing, I'm just giving my opinions. And again, please, I am not an attorney. I'm not a psychiatrist, psychologist. I'm just an interested commenter and person who reacts to these true crime videos. But, just, we all like to kind of speculate, and this is mere speculation. But I do remember that he did have some blunt force trauma to the head. And I might let y'all listen because I think they do, well, or else I can just tell you. I don't have to let them tell you, but they had a theory that maybe she knocked him out. But now how would she be able to get him in the suitcase? Well, and I didn't think about that because it is interesting. I don't know if it was just Freudian, but when she called 911, of course, she didn't call 911 until after, like hours after she'd gone to bed and woke up, probably stretched, had her coffee, cigarette, maybe her Dr. Pepper, and then goes, oh my God, he's in the suitcase. Of course, she calls her ex-husband first, Brian. And they actually have a little bit of an interview with him, and I actually have a pretty much full interview. It's audio. I just have the audio of it, but he tells a lot. That poor man, if I were him, I'd take their poor son Lucas and move far away. But then, I guess we just got to wait and see what happens. But so they have a theory about that maybe, if he was drunk or whatever, but then I have another audio that I'm going to find and put up, and it's of the neighbor testifying that night they heard something like, something was bumping down the stairs. And I'm wondering if there was a possibility that there could have been, he could have been upstairs when she put him in the suitcase and she pushed it down the stairs. But that wouldn't make sense because he was able to speak. But if she knocked him out before she put him in the suitcase and then he was later, I don't know. Maybe I will let you see what they have to say about that part. I don't have to play all of it, but what they're speculating.
I can't breathe, babe.
Oh, that's what I feel like when you cheat on me.
Sarah,
This is awful. No matter how many times I watch it.
please, Sarah.
Yeah. You should probably shut the up.
Sarah.
That does not sound good, folks.
Would you leave Lucas in a suitcase jokingly? Because it was a joking matter. You put him in there jokingly. Would you leave Lucas jokingly in there? And you love Lucas, right? And you
I
love
wouldn't do
George.
that to him either. I wouldn't do that to him.
So, I just...
Well, it's not like, again, I don't think you all understand. Like, that was not my intention. Y'all don't have any idea what I've done for him.
But by your acts, and that's exactly right. You get to the point where you've done so much for somebody and they don't show you any appreciation.
He did.
Not by your words in the video. I don't get that.
Yeah, she's taunting him in the video and saying this is what it feels like when you cheat on me. If I'm the prosecution, my theme is going to be revenge, that this was an act of revenge because she's angry about him cheating. If you're the defense, though, are you going to say that she's a victim of domestic violence and just had enough on this very bad day? Let's bring in our guest on the program, our law enforcement analyst, David Katz, the founder and CEO of Global Security Group, served many years in federal law enforcement. David, what do you think when a defendant like Sarah Boone tells you, oh, this is just a game of hide and seek. We're drinking, we're playing around. Nobody intended for anybody to die here.
Well, I actually consulted the official rules of hide and seek. And for those of you who don't know the concept, one person closes their eyes or covers their eyes and counts to any number, usually 100, and other players hide. So in other words, the person seeking does not know where the person is hiding. I was scouring the internet trying to find a version where the person seeking stuffs the person into a suitcase, knows where that person is, and then the games begin. So this whole hide and seek thing it's bizarre. And I wonder if we're going to have to pull an expert saying, well, no, there's a variation with a seeker. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It sure is. And David, I'm curious to know what you think happened here. I've got a theory, and this is my theory, and maybe because I think like the prosecutor that I once was. I think that there was some kind of a fight, and I think that there was a beating that went down, that she beat him. We know that medical examiner found the blunt force trauma to his head. We know that the medical examiner noted scratches to his back and his neck. That being said, they both were drinking. I'm wondering if he was knocked out. Also, the intoxication might have helped, and that she forced him in there and zipped him in. Because initially, I'm like, how does somebody go in there willingly to play hide and seek, even fit in there? That's my theory. If I'm the prosecution, that's what I'm going with, that she knocked him out, stuffed him in there to leave him to die. What do you think? How plausible is that from a law enforcement perspective?
I agree with you completely. I think the possibility that he just climbed in willingly as she zipped him closed is slim to none. So the question is going to be based on her relative size, his size. There are a lot of ways you could do it, but a lot, as you mentioned perfectly, it depends on his stature, his body weight. She's not a particularly large woman. She's small statured herself. So the physicality involved in getting his body into the suitcase, rearranging him so he's fitting, and then zipping him closed, that's going to be an issue too. But if he appears, at least based on the photos, he appears to be slim, lightweight, small statured, that could explain it. The other thing is, if he's lying on the ground, either knocked out or passed out, she probably could arrange him in a situation, put the suitcase on top of him somehow, then and kind of roll him into it. I mean, I was trying to figure out how it could possibly be done, but that's going to be a big issue. You can count on that.
Right. And maybe as you're talking, David, I'm kind of picturing in my mind, maybe a courtroom demonstration. These prosecutors might be smart, because most people don't do this thing, thank goodness. It might be smart to bring in that suitcase and show just how large it is, how small he was, and how somebody her size could, push him on in there and zip it up, as you said. This is, what a bad case. I'm just stunned that this happened, and it is so horrific. What a way to die, really. And Sarah Boone, I bet she's going to have something to say when she goes to court on July 21st.
All right, so there you have it there. Now, there was this other spot where they're talking about how their court TV investigators have been digging into. Now, if you all have been following the case, most of you know that both George and Sarah have been arrested for DV. What's DM? For DV. And it's mostly been George, but then there was another, there was one that was kind of interesting. I think they said that he was hiding in the bathroom, but I don't know if he was arrested or not. Let me see if I can find that clip, because that was kind of interesting for those of you all who are taking notes and trying to be like the, just trying to see what could have possibly happened. I'll get back with you.
Well, our court TV team has been poring over documents and was managing to piece together a bit of a picture of their relationship that had lots of ups and downs.
Ma'am, good morning. Your name? Sarah Boone.
45-year-old Sarah Boone is charged with the murder of her boyfriend, George Torres. She's accused of zipping him up into a suitcase and leaving him there until he suffocated. But this wasn't the first time police were summoned to the couple's home. Court documents show they had a history of domestic violence.
At one point, I started documenting everything.
Okay.
So you all will see in my pictures bloody fingers, split foreheads, he split my nose.
Sarah Boone and George Torres began dating in March of 2016. After her arrest, allegedly for Torres' death, police interrogated Boone about their relationship that was often marred by violence.
So every time that you guys fight, you both hit each other? So you should have probably gone to jail all those times that he went to jail for domestic?
Oh, the one time I did.
In July of 2018, after a call to police, Torres told an officer that Boone strangled him until he was having trouble breathing. But she told police he dragged her up the stairs and kicked her. Both of them had injuries. Boone was arrested for aggravated battery by strangulation, and Torres was arrested for battery. Then in June of 2019, another report of domestic violence. Police noting Boone had red marks on her face and her neck. This time, only Torres was arrested for battery.
I had him arrested how many times?
But you also went down and bailed him.
I know.
In August of 2019, Torres is again arrested for battery. This after Boone called 911, and both of them appeared to have minor injuries. According to the police report, Boone repeatedly says she is fed up with being hit. A week later, Torres is arrested again for allegedly hitting Boone. They've both been drinking, and when police arrive, Torres is hiding in the bathroom. Less than 6 months later, Torres is dead after being left in a suitcase for hours. According to Boone, they were drinking and playing hide and seek. Police say Boone is to blame. They've charged her with second-degree murder. Oh my, what a history these two have, huh? I want to bring back in my law enforcement expert guest. He's a retired DEA senior special agent and now the founder and CEO of Global Security Group, David Cap.
Okay, that's all I needed to do with that. So, and I'm also, like I said, I will put up the audio I have of Sarah's ex-husband. And that's kind of telling. But at this point, those of you who've been following it, what do you all think? Do you think she'll be able to get by with a battered spouse abuse or not? Okay, guys, that kind of sums this chapter up of Sarah Boone, Suitcase Sarah. And sorry for the interruptions. There's been a little bit of camera problem. I'm actually hand holding this right now. I had it on the little tripod. I had to cut it short. I don't know if you heard a thumping. My son was knocking on the camper, so I had to stop for that. But anyhow, if you can hear me, then that's good. This isn't a beautifully, artfully done, at least visually, but at least I'm getting the message to you, hopefully. But sometimes you just have to wing it. But there it is. So it looks like the next time we'll see Sarah is on the 21st of July. And I also think that is when Darrell is supposed to be there for his pre-trial or whatever for Erica. Although I think, as I recall in the other video, she will not be for that one, but for the one following. But anyhow, there we are with Sarah for now. I'm sure there'll be more stuff coming up. Thank you all so much for watching, being patient. I'm putting a couple videos out for Sarah. I'm going to put out another one after this one, shortly after this, or soon, of the interrogation her ex-husband had by the police, which I think you'll find very interesting if you haven't heard it. And I may have one for Chad, and then I'm going to get to playing catch-up, reading and responding to your messages. So it's just kind of been a jacked up week, but that's okay. I'll get back on track. I appreciate you all sticking with me, for subscribing, for watching, for commenting, liking, all that good stuff. And hopefully I won't have any more difficulties for a while. But I love you all. Please be kind to one another. Be kind to yourself. And I will see you the next time.